I was just helping her out. That's what I kept telling myself as I stood there, keys in hand, rain soaking through my jacket, watching a stranger struggle with a car that refused to start. If I had known that moment would bend the course of my life, I might have hesitated. I might have walked past. But then again, maybe some doors only open when you're not looking for them. It was one of those evenings that settles heavy on your shoulders. Work had been brutal, another reminder that effort doesn't always equal reward. I was 32, divorced for 2 years, still learning how to be alone without feeling empty. The parking lot outside the grocery store was nearly deserted, the kind of place where the yellow lights buzz and flicker like they're tired of shining. That's when I saw her. She was standing beside an old silver sedan, hood up, phone pressed to her ear, her shoulders tense. She wore a long wool coat, charcoal gray, elegant in a quiet way, and her hair, dark with streaks of silver, was pulled back into a loose knot that the wind kept teasing apart. She looked frustrated but composed, like someone used to handling problems herself. I walked past at first. I don't know why. Maybe habit. Maybe fear of awkwardness. Then I heard her sigh, long and tired, and say into the phone, "No, it's fine. I'll figure it out." I stopped. "Car trouble?" I asked, my voice sounding smaller than I meant it to. She looked up, startled, then smiled politely. "Yes, unfortunately. It just won't start. I'm no mechanic," I said, "but I can take a look. Sometimes it's something simple." She hesitated for a half second, measuring me, then nodded. "I'd appreciate that." Up close, I noticed her eyes, soft brown, alert, curious. She looked to be in her late 50s, maybe early 60s, but there was a calm strength about her that made age feel irrelevant. I leaned over the engine, checked the battery connections, asked her to try the ignition. Nothing. A soft clicking sound and silence. "Battery's dead," I said. "Do you have jumper cables?" She laughed, a warm sound that cut through the cold. "I do not. I keep meaning to buy some. I can give you a jump. My car's right there." Relief crossed her face. "Thank you. Really." As the cables hummed and the engine finally roared to life, she exhaled like she'd been holding her breath all day. "You just saved me," she said. "Happy to help," I replied, shrugging like it was nothing, even though something about her gratitude settled deep in my chest. "My name's Elena," she said, extending her hand. "Daniel." Her handshake was firm, confident. We talked for a few minutes, small things. She was heading home from picking up groceries for her neighbor, who'd had knee surgery. I told her about my job at a logistics company, how I'd moved to the city after the divorce. When she thanked me again and got into her car, I assumed that was it. A moment of kindness, exchanged and gone. But life doesn't always follow assumptions. 2 days later, I ran into her again at the same grocery store. This time, she smiled like she'd been hoping to see me. "Daniel," she said, surprised and pleased. "You shop here too." "Seems so," I said. "Car behaving perfectly," she replied. I bought jumper cables the very next day. We laughed, and something easy unfolded between us. She asked if I'd like to grab a coffee sometime as thanks. I almost said no. Old habits, old hesitations, but something told me to say yes. Coffee turned into conversation. Conversation turned into hours. Elena told me about her life in careful pieces. She'd been married once, widowed at 45. No children. A career in architectural consulting that she'd built slowly, patiently. She spoke about buildings the way some people talk about music, with reverence and intimacy. I found myself listening more than talking, which was rare for me. I told her about my marriage, how it had ended quietly, without drama, just a realization that love had turned into obligation. I admitted I felt stuck, like my life was on pause while everyone else moved forward. She didn't interrupt. She didn't offer platitudes. She just listened. When we finally stood to leave, the sky already dark, she touched my arm lightly. "I'm glad we met," she said. "So am I." I told myself it was friendship. That's what it felt like at first. We met for walks, for coffee, sometimes dinner. She introduced me to art galleries I'd never noticed, to books that made me rethink things I thought I understood. She had a way of asking questions that weren't invasive but impossible to dodge. "How do you define success?" she asked once, as we sat on a park bench watching children feed ducks. I guess. Stability, I said. Security. She nodded. That's important. But is it enough? No one had asked me that before. I started looking forward to her messages. I caught myself smiling at my phone like an idiot. Still, I kept a careful distance, a line I told myself I wouldn't cross. She was older. Much older. People would talk. I didn't even know what she wanted. Then one evening, everything shifted. She invited me to her place for dinner. I hesitated, but she laughed it off. Relax, Daniel. It's just pasta. Her apartment was warm and inviting, filled with books and framed sketches of buildings from around the world. Soft jazz played in the background. As we ate, the conversation drifted, deeper than usual. She told me about loneliness after her husband died, how the world expected her to move on, to be strong, when all she wanted was to be understood. I got very good at being alone, she said quietly. Too good. Something in her voice cracked, just a little. I found myself reaching for her hand. It felt natural, necessary. She didn't pull away. The silence stretched, charged but gentle. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, and said, I need to ask you something. And you don't have to answer. My heart thudded. Okay. She took a breath. Do you ever think about what people assume when they look at us together? I swallowed. Yes. And does it bother you? I thought of the stares, the whispers that hadn't even happened yet. I thought of my parents, my friends, the neat boxes society loves to sort people into. It scares me, I admitted. But not because of you. She smiled, a sad, knowing smile. Good. That night, when I left her apartment, I knew something had changed. I just didn't know how far it would go. We didn't rush into anything. Weeks passed, then months. Our connection deepened quietly, steadily. We supported each other through work stress, family obligations, bad days. She encouraged me to apply for a promotion I didn't think I deserved. When I got it, she celebrated like it was her own victory. Still, there was a question hanging between us, unspoken but heavy. It came out one afternoon as we walked along the river, leaves crunching underfoot. She stopped suddenly, turning to face me. Daniel, she said, voice steady but eyes searching, I need to be honest with you. I nodded, bracing myself. I'm in love with you. The words landed softly, but their impact was anything but. I don't expect anything, she continued. I know the difference in our ages is significant. I know what people will say. I just needed you to know. My chest felt tight. I loved her. The realization had been there for a while, waiting for me to catch up. But love, I'd learned, wasn't always enough to quiet fear. I care about you deeply, I said. More than I've ever expected to. I don't know how to navigate this. She nodded. That's fair. We kept walking, the conversation unfinished but honest. A few weeks later, during dinner at her place, she asked me the question that would echo in my mind for years.